TalkAlot with TokeAlot is hosted by Terry TokeAlot and proudly recorded in Rochester, New York, and dedicated to bringing you the issues that matter in our community. This podcast is meant for listeners over the age of 21 and encourages you to consume responsibly and within your state's laws and regulations. Thank you. Welcome back to another episode of TalkAlot with TokeAlot. I am your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, Terry TokeAlot. And firstly, I want to preface this by saying today's episode was not supposed to be about the OCM. But given recent developments and the fact that I'm a professional yapper, I changed the episode schedule a little bit for good reason. So, today we are discussing why over 100 licensed dispensaries may be forced to move in the near future due to an oversight by the OCM. So, if you're at all interested in this topic, stay tuned, which, if you smoke New York, you should be. If not, I'll catch you the next time. So let's spark one up and get into today's hot topic. By the way, I already sparked one. I'm sorry. I left you guys out. My bad. So let's start from the beginning. When all of these laws were being set in place and all of these regulations were being set in place, the requirements for dispensaries were set as 500 feet from building A, which would be a school or a publicly protected building, to building B, the dispensary, which most OCM agents and inspectors took to mean entrance to entrance. They were wrong. That was wrong. The actual requirements were meant to be 500 feet from property lines. To most of us, this sounds like a minor debacle, easily solved by a change in regulation or a quick move for a dispensary. Allow me to be the bearer of bad news. This is a problem, a big one, over 150 dispensaries deep. In a densely populated area like New York City, this could prove catastrophic for some smaller dispensaries, specifically those licensed under the equity licenses, meaning those that are in a marginalized group or directly affected by the war on drugs. For them to recoup losses of hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of dollars is nearly impossible in their eyes. Not to mention the fact that this is someone's dream, their passion, their livelihood. They don't want to move locations and potentially lose clientele, whether that's from transportation issues or losing them to a neighboring dispensary or the black market, which in New York City, all of these are possibilities. The OCM has stated that the locations that fall under the 500 feet property line to property line requirement will not be granted a license come renewal time unless regulations change. So let's take the case of the People's Joint in Schenectady, for example. They operate within the 500 feet buffer zone, making them technically non-compliant. When they are up for renewal, they will likely be unable to renew at their existing location. The owner, Danny Taylor, is on record voicing his concerns about this avoidable oversight, especially considering that the Dormitory Authority and the OCM handpicked this location. They picked it for him. And they were like, you're good to go, buddy. You're good to go. Move right in. Do you. And then a few months later, they're like, JK. What? Fucking what? I'm getting mad already. Okay. This man, Danny Taylor, is being made to pay for a mistake that isn't his. Even worse? Yes. It gets worse. I don't know how it fucking gets worse, but it gets worse. But to make it even worse, according to State Senator Liz Krueger, officials were aware of the problem and could have fixed it in June. But nobody decided to do anything. So, the big question now is, what does this mean for those in the buffer zone? Right now, we're at a standstill. On the 29th, the initial hearings will take place for the suits challenging the OCM's reinterpretation. But after that, we have to wait. The earliest any amendments can be filed is January 2026. I mean, this could be grandfathering these dispensaries that are in jeopardy into their locations under certain circumstances and qualifications if they meet them, or adjusting the distance to mirror liquor stores, which is 200 feet. The statistics of those currently affected are really grim. 105 licensed dispensaries and 47 applicants, totaling to 152 affected businesses. The first incident occurring in 2022. Let me grab my mic and bring it really close so you can hear me. 2022. That's 3 fucking years ago. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me hit this blunt. Let me hit this blunt and not fucking rage right now. So, I have lots of questions. And I'm going to preface this by saying I may get passionate, pissed, whatever you want to call it. So, if you're using headphones or you have people around you, I would suggest it probably turning me down right now. Just in case. Just to be safe. So, number 1. Here's my first question. 152 dispensaries. How? How? Are we not training? Are we just hiring anyone? If your government employees can't follow simple guidelines, we have big fucking problems. Like, if this is just like the surface of the iceberg, I cannot imagine what the fuck is underneath. 2, why did this go unchecked for so fucking long? 2022? 2022. I reiterate, that was 3 fucking years ago, guys. 3 years ago. And they had time to fix it, and they knew that it was a problem. And yet they were like, we'll worry about it later. Whatever. No big deal. No big whoop. Okay. 3. If those dispensaries are paying their taxes, following the letter of the law, and contributing to the community, why the fuck would you make them move? 500 feet is solid in my opinion. And if the children are the concern, that's why you have security at a desk prior to entry onto the sales floor. That's why we ID people. That's why every time I go into the dispo, I have to get my ID scanned. It's not like it's not like you can just fucking walk in willy-nilly. And if you're a kid walking into a dispensary and they're a legal dispensary, they're going to have a security guard right there, and the security guard is going to kick the kid the fuck out. Duh. I'm a parent. We all know this. I could not care less if Maryland school was a half a block from a legal dispensary. I'm less concerned about that than I am about a bar being a block away from her. Like what? 4. Number 4. This could, and I guess this really isn't like, this could double as like a point and like a question of like, what are we gonna do? So, this could prove detrimental to the New York State economy, specifically New York City, if not handled properly. Dispensaries are forced to move, potentially go bankrupt doing so, are at risk of being unable to find a location, and the list goes on. This domino effect could get ugly. So what is the OCM going to do about it? And what do I think they should do? And what do I think they're going to do? All of those are very, very different questions, and they all have very different answers. What do I think they should do? Quick and simple. 200 feet minimum. If there are still dispensaries within the 200 feet, then we have to question the incompetence. How incompetent? Sorry, I blundered a little bit, my bad. We have to question at that point how incompetent the OCM actually is. Those dispensaries, if any, should be grandfathered into their location unless they choose otherwise. That's just my personal opinion on it. I feel like that's the way to at least make this so that nobody is losing out on their location that they fought for or spent a lot of money for or have a 10-year lease on or whatever the case may be. Some of these people built out locations, you know, so it's like they don't want to leave. They have an attachment, and I totally understand that. But what do I think they're going to do? I feel like giving us 200 feet is being a little too generous. like, at least for what we know for New York State and, like, how they treat cannabis. I feel like 200 feet and keeping it on the same level as, like, a liquor store is not going to happen. As much as I would love to say that that's going to happen, I have every hope in my mind that that's going to be the case. But just given the societal climate and everything in between, I just don't think that we're going to get like a 200 feet minimum. I think we're probably looking at more like maybe a 300 to 350 feet minimum. And then grandfathering those in the buffer area. Maybe. I could be totally wrong. They could say, fuck us all. It's New York. I don't know what they're going to do. Do I profess to know what our great state will do? Fuck no. Nor do I understand most of the decisions of the powers that be in the cannabis space. It's all, honestly, in my opinion, disappointing. It's disappointing to see that this is what our state has come up with for regulations for legal cannabis, knowing full well that they can do so much better. They have the power to do so much better, and they're just choosing not to. And it's obvious that they're choosing not to, because even other senators have agreed that they've chosen not to do better for legal cannabis in New York State. And for those who are trying to strengthen the economy in New York State with legal cannabis. So, us being the Rochesterians, hi, us, we're here, how are ya? The worry is minimal for us, but for a lot of other cities, and obviously this is specifically targeted towards those larger metropolitan areas, for a lot of those people and a lot of those businesses, this is the difference between survival and surrender. Like, it's a big deal. It's a way bigger deal than people are making it out to be. And I know a lot of you are probably sitting there right now, Carrie, you're from Rochester, why do you care? Because this is incompetence at its finest. Like, I love the plant, and the government is literally just a bunch of bullies in name brand suits. That is all this is. And they're just continuing to fuck with people who are just trying to do it exactly the way that they told them to fucking do it. Literally, all of these people are following the fucking rules, and the government is just like, you're still not doing it right. Even though you're doing it how we told you to, you're still not doing it right. Like, excuse the fuck out of me? No. We're not playing this fucking game. It's absolute horseshit. So, I'm mad. Rightfully so, I feel. And I can't even begin to imagine how these businesses that are affected feel. I went ahead and I did the legwork to find out which areas are the most affected by this oversight. And here are the current standings. And you and I, we're going to go through them together. So, the pending applications that are impacted. Central New York, 1. Finger Lakes, 2. Mid-Hudson area, 2. New York City, 38. Western New York, 1. Totaling up to 44 pending applications that are impacted. Licensed businesses impacted by this. This list is a little longer, so bear with me. Capital District, 2. Central New York, 1. Finger Lakes, 2. Long Island, 1. Mid-Hudson region, 8. Mohawk Valley, 1. North Country, 1. New York City, 89. Southern Tier, 2. Western New York, 1. Totaling to 108 affected licensed businesses. This is fucking nuts. So, they sent out memos to the applicants that were affected by this recent revisiting of this rule. They sent out memos to all these people, and they apologized profusely, and, like, I read the memos. Like, they're out there online. You can read them if you'd like. If you want them, like, you can literally just Google, like, the whole OCM, like, New York State thing, and, like, they will pop up on the New York State OCM, like, website. So I did go ahead and I read those. And, like, they were the most hollow, like, fucking, just, like, very, very business. Like, there was nothing to them. Like, it was just very much government. Like, oh, we're sorry, we fucked up. We're trying our best to fix it. Oopsies. Did a poopsie. Like, but that's neither here nor there. Because at the end of the day, it's the government. And, like, we expect that from them, you know? It's not like they're personable people. It's not like they actually care about what's happening to these businesses. So for them to come off as, like, actually being, like, wholesome and, like, genuinely being like, I am so sorry that this is happening and this should not be happening and it shouldn't have gotten swept under the rug for as long as it has. No, I didn't expect that, but whatever. I read these memos and they're very bland, very, oh, we are so sorry, robotic, like, beep, beep, boop, like, it. Anyway, they bolstered the creation of the Applicant Relief Program, and this is funded at $15 million to aid those with expenses in regards to the oversight. These businesses will not receive licenses unless legislation is made that acts retroactively, according to the OCM and Kathy Hochul, which basically means that if they don't come up with legislation in 2026 that acts going backwards in time as well as going forwards, that means that these people that are affected by this probably will not get their licenses. Now, granted, they will probably get some kind of funding, grant from the government for what they've gone through, but will it actually substantiate to anything that's going to help them rebuild their brand and their business in a new location, provided they can even find a new location? Now, not only did they send memos to the applicants that are affected by this, they also sent memos, obviously, to those who are licensed dispensaries that are affected by this. Sorry, the blunt's hitting now, guys, so, like, if I sound a little lispy, I'm sorry. And also, like, I'm trying very hard right now to control my rage because I don't want to scream into the microphone because I feel like that's really aggressive. And I do that a lot to you guys, and I'm so sorry. And thank you for putting up with my bullshit because yikes. But anywho, back to the point. So they sent memos over to the licensed dispensaries as well and reassured them that that even though affected, they're not telling them to cease operations. Like, they're not like, you got to stop right now. Those that are up for renewal may still be allowed to operate under the SAPA Act until the Cannabis Control Board comes to a decision on their renewal. So basically they're saying, like, we're going to let you operate until a definitive decision is made. As long as you're not doing shit that you're not supposed to be doing and you don't turn in your application for renewal late. So Kathy Hochul and her team say that they aim to keep businesses where they are, but we shall see. If you want a more interactive view of the New York City dispos affected, check out the Gothamist article linked in the description of today's episode. It gives a great visual of how dense this really is. Now, here are some thoughts I would like to leave you guys with on this. Just because I will say, like, for this episode, I tried to record it a few different times. The first time my mics went out. Second time, I didn't like how it felt because I wanted to make sure I was really giving you guys the full scope of how deeply this is going to impact our community if this is not handled properly. Now, obviously, going over that list of the general areas in New York State that are affected by this and the number of dispensaries in the areas that are affected by this, like, and just looking at those numbers, like, Finger Lakes, for example, there's 2 dispensaries there, like, 2 legal dispensaries, not applicants, like, there's how many fucking was it? It was an astronomical fucking number. 89 in New York City. Like, that's fucking wild. Can you think about that for a second? That 89 businesses in one general area may have to shut down or relocate because the government fucked up. If they don't handle this properly. With that being said, I'd like for you guys to, take a moment, and if you're in New York State, no matter where you are in New York State, doesn't matter. This is one of those times where, you need to be going and fucking, as much as I don't even like to make this a whole political thing, but like, you need to be going and making sure you're voting for those in your communities that are pro-cannabis and are not for the policing of a plant, essentially. And it also comes down to working on ending the stigma on your own terms. And as you all know, that's one of the things I'm a huge advocate for. I've never, ever, ever been shy about what I do for a living, whether that's talking about the podcast or talking about my past endeavors or what have you. I've never been shy about that, and I've never been shy about what cannabis has done for me. And I feel as though a big part of why this has become such a hot topic and such a very controversial conversation to have is because of the fact that society has stigmatized cannabis so much to a point where, even in comparison to alcohol, people think cannabis is literally, like, when they say the devil's lettuce, like, some people actually mean, like, the devil's lettuce. Like, some people legit mean that shit. And it's so wild to me, because I can only think of all of the wonderful things that cannabis has done for not only myself, but those in my life. Like, and there are people out here who genuinely are like, no, this is like, it's the devil's plant. As you all know, I'm not like a denominational, fucking person, but at the end of the day, that's the most synonymous, like, that's what they call it. Like, that's what these, like, people who have this societal norm of believing that cannabis is a gateway drug or it is a negative thing, that this is the stigma that they hold in them. And they don't want it near their schools, and they don't want it near their public places. And, I'm all for exercising your own opinions and your own rights and all day, every day, but when it's rooted in ignorance, it's a problem. So, I don't want to get all fucking philosophical and shit, because I could go on about that for hours, and how much our stigmatization of cannabis actually affects, like, what happens with it in the legal realm and such. But, neither here nor there. Anyways. Now, we won't have any answers, like I said, until at least January. At least a definitive answer on whether or not they're going to grandfather these dispensaries in, or if they're going to basically just say, get the fuck out. So, I guess until then, I'm going to fucking keep an eye on it, mainly because I'm invested. I care about this. This is important to me, not because of anything other than the fact of I'm as passionate about the plant as the people who are running these dispensaries. I love this plant so much, and I feel as though it should not be gatekept the way that it is. And this kind of falls into that weird umbrella category of it being gatekept. I have a lot of feelings on this. I have a lot of feelings on this. My biggest concern above and beyond all is that I'm so concerned that a lot of these businesses are not going to be able to withstand that hit if they do have to relocate. That is a huge price tag. A huge price tag. not just the process of moving, but the process of changing everything over, the process of securing the location, paying for the location, making sure that your location is, whether you own it or if you don't own it, is it with somebody who's cool with cannabis sales on the property and, such and such. Like, there are a lot of different moving parts that I don't think the everyday person thinks about when it comes to these businesses having to uproot their entire base, essentially, where they've built their brand, and having to just say fuck it and try again somewhere else in an area where a bunch of other dispensaries could be there. And then not only are they competing, just making sure that they have the best shit all the time, but they're also competing with other dispensaries now, and it starts a really bad domino effect that I'm so concerned about. And I'm concerned about these small family-owned businesses, these equity license holders. It's a scary time. It's a scary time if you are into, like, the whole legal side and, like, all of that. If you're not, then, like, hey, it's totally cool. It's totally cool to be a passive consumer and, like, not care about, like, all of the deep shit like some of us do. I will never shame anybody for not really caring about the politics about it, because I get it. It's tiring. It's exhausting. And to be fair, sometimes you just want to enjoy the plant. But this is where we are right now in New York State. There are some really great things going on, and there are some really shitty things going on. But we're gonna hop off of the topic of the really shitty. But before I do, I want to say, if you guys have any input on this rant about the OCM today, or you'd like to add your 2 cents, please feel free to send an email into TalkAlot@gmail.com. I'll write it down below too, so you guys can copy and paste it. I'm not going to expect you to type all that shit out in your email bar. No way. I don't expect that from you. But all you got to do is copy and paste it, and you can send your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, whatever you want to send in. You can even just send in a little hee ha ha. And maybe it'll be included in next week's episode, because we're going to start doing that every week now. We're going to start ending our little, like, ranty time of, like, just talking about the community and such. And then we're going to take some questions from everybody, or we'll answer some questions from the the previous episode. So, start a little fun little segment for you guys. But anyways, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to put in your 2 cents about this week's topic, if you want to send in some information about a dispensary that's affected, or if you yourself are affected by this as a dispensary owner, please feel free to email me, send the podcast page on Instagram a message, whatever the case may be. I will put all of the information down below in the description of today's episode, along with that Gothamist link as well, because that map really did put it into perspective for myself as well. And I think if everybody kind of looked at that, they would be like, oh shit, this really isn't a joke. Like, this is actually a bad thing. Like, this is not cool. So with all that being said, we focused a lot on the bad today. And I don't want to focus on the bad all the time. I don't like that. I don't like doing that. You guys know I like to keep it very light and airy. So, in other legal news, make sure you secure your tickets for the Good Life Collective's end of summer bash. I'll be there all day with my mobile setup, doing pop-up quiz stoner trivia and getting information from our favorite brands and brand reps. It's going to be a blast, so make sure you stop by and enjoy the festivities. Tickets are free, so check out the Good Life Collective to get yours. I'll put their link in, again, the description. I'm going to keep saying the description all the time. I feel so redundant. But, so if you see me, come and say hi, come sesh with me. I'm going to have my proxy out. We're going to have a good time. My lovely podcast sponsor, Mad Hatter's Hideaway, will be in attendance, so make sure you go give their booth a little love. They're going to have food, games, vendors, giveaways, live entertainment. I'm so excited for the live entertainment because it is Grateful for Biggie. It is a collab, like, mashup between Grateful Dead and Biggie. So fucking stoked to see that. And that is, again, August 31st, this Sunday, 375 Averill Ave. And that's, again, 375 Averill Ave, Rochester, New York, Sunday, August 31st. It's going to be an absolute fucking blast. I bet there's going to be so many fucking dope people there. We're going to have a great time, sesh, vibe out, listen to some good music, good food, good vibes. I keep saying good vibes. I'm stoned. I need to go the fuck to bed because it is way past my bedtime recording this. Sorry. I hit the blunt and she hit back. It be like that sometimes. Anyways, made myself laugh a little too hard with that. All right. Anyways, before I go, I have one more small announcement to make. Nothing crazy. So, as you all know, obviously, I love plants. Duh. I host a cannabis podcast. Of course, I love plants. But I don't just love cannabis. I also love houseplants. And I don't know if you guys knew that, if you follow me on social media, on, like, my own personal page and stuff. But I have a bit of a green thumb. I absolutely love houseplants. I have a collection spanning over like 50 plants-ish, give or take a plant or two. Anyways, I decided why not turn my passion into plants into passion for plants for other people? Because I always hear all the time, whenever I talk to somebody about starting plants, perfect example. Oh, here we go. I got a little story time for you guys. The boss lady, my dear love, my Emma. You know how much I love this woman. She is terrified of houseplants. Or I should say was terrified of houseplants. I'm so proud of her now. Anyways, she was terrified of houseplants. Absolutely terrified. So, me, being me, because I'm persistent, and also I believe that plants just bring a certain joy. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about them, but there's probably a reason why I have 50 of them. But I love my plants. I have so many different varieties of different kinds and sizes, colors, all of that. I love my plants. They're my babies. And Emma was talking about how she wanted to start trying to grow houseplants. And I'm like, yeah, it's so easy. And she's like, no, it's not. I kill everything I've ever had. I kill the succulent. You're not supposed to be able to kill succulents. To be fair, I suck at keeping succulents alive. I'm not very good with succulents. And personally, I think that's just because of a soil thing, but that we can talk about that in another episode. But that's beside the point. Anyways, let me not get off topic. I gave Emma a couple of different houseplants. And now she has a whole little plant stand and a whole little collection. And I've been giving her tips and tricks on how to take care of her plants. And she's been having a great time. She's got little lights set up now and everything. I'm so proud. So, doing that and doing that for other friends of mine, it sparked a passion kind of similar to this passion, the one that I feel when I record the podcast. I love being able to give people things that they can grow on their own. It's wonderful. It's so fun. So, with that being said, I decided to start my own business venture. And the name of my business is Vine and Stem by Terry Page. And that's my government name, if you didn't know. I'm putting myself out there now. Woo! But anyways, yeah. So now I'm going to also be specializing not only in cannabis positive content, but I will also be essentially turning my little home into a nursery, for lack of a better way to put it, a plant nursery. And I'm going to specialize in growing easy to grow, beginner friendly plants that are varying in a bunch of different styles, colors, sizes, different families of plants. I plan on making it so that everybody feels like they can have a house plant in their house, because I feel like everybody needs a house plant in their house. Maybe not 50 like me, but a few. Like, it's not a bad hobby to have. It's wonderful. I love it. It's so peaceful. It's so plants improve your air quality. They do so many wonderful things for us. They improve your mood. Like, there's so many different reasons to have houseplants, and I just feel that there's something that should be shared with the world. So with that being said, on my personal Instagram, which is located in the LINKTREE, if you haven't clicked on that already, you can go ahead and click on that now and find any and all relevant links to the TalkAlot with TokeAlot podcast, including my social medias, my sponsors' social medias, coupon codes, all that fun stuff. You can go there, you can get all that. But you can go to my personal Instagram page and you can find my bi-weekly plant menu for pickup and drop off in the surrounding Rochester, like, neighborhood and areas. So, like, Rochester, Greece, like, I'm just not going out, like, super duper far. Can't do that. So sorry. But eventually we'll be able to ship. Maybe not anytime soon, but hopefully sometime soon. Fingers crossed. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited to start this journey. Plants have been a really big help for me in times of crisis, for lack of a better way to put it. And I absolutely love all of my plants. And if you go to my personal page, you can see a lot of my plants kind of scattered everywhere. I post them a lot on my story. And like I said, I'll be posting bi-weekly pick-up and drop-off plant menus for the Rochester area and a few of the areas surrounding. So with that being said, yeah, I think that's it for today's episode. I don't think I have anything else to add because I don't want to add anything else about the OCM, because if I do, I'm going to get mad again. And I'm actually stoned and it feels really nice because I've been smoking blunts again, guys. And whoo doggy, I've been smoking blunts again, and that shit be hitting. And let me tell you something. Your girl did not lose her touch on loose leaves. I promise you. I promise you. Give me a fresh peg of leaves. Oh my God. Ah, so happy. So happy. There's nothing better. Nothing better, I promise you, than a little glass of wine and a fresh leaf. Oh, love it so much. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Okay. I tried to keep today's episode a little serious and not bloopers galore like the last episode. I've been trying really hard. So, on that note, like I said, I have nothing else of actual substance to add. I'm going to get out of here. Join me next week for our next episode, which, to be quite frank with you guys, now that I've done this OCM episode, and this was supposed to be more like towards the beginning of next year, since that was when all the legislation stuff was going to be up for change and whatnot, kind of messed up my schedule flow, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll get through that. New episode will be posted next Friday, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will announce what the episode for next week is probably on Monday. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I don't know what else to say. I think that's about all. I'm really stoned. And yeah, that blunt hit me. She fucking, goddamn. All right. Yeah, I put a little hash in her too. That was my bad. It might have been my bad. That's okay though. That's why we're here. We're here to talk about what matters to our community and get stoned while we do it, and remind everybody that the stigma is just something perpetuated by society. Not all of us are a bunch of fucking lazy potheads. A lot of us actually get shit done. Might forget a few things while we do it, but like, hey, it gets fucking done. Anyways, thanks for listening to today's episode. I've been your hostess with the mostest that always gets the stonedest, Terry TokeAlot. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.